Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee have a lot going against them. As Pokemon's first entry on the Nintendo Switch, they dared to be another Kanto remake. They also mark the start of what I call the removal era. The Pokédex has been pared down to 153, comprised of the original 151, plus Meltan and Melmetal. That's right, they killed Crobat, and all the others, turned them into candy. Beyond that, the XP share can't be turned off anymore. Pokemon do not have abilities or EVs, and their hands are just for decoration now, as there are no held items. Hell, you can't even battle wild Pokemon anymore. But despite all that, what if I told you these titles still make my top 3 for the Switch generation? There was a clear vision when this game was made, which is a lot more than can be said for most of its contemporaries. Pokemon are properly scaled, and the models they've been reusing since X and Y look great with the resolution increase. The region is well crafted, with the original layout of Kanto translating well into the 3D style they landed on. And thanks to some really good redesigns for notable characters, the people, Pokemon, and environments are all consistent in their appearance. Even battle backgrounds are appropriately detailed based on where you are. They also made sure to maintain steady growth with consistent level scaling under the limitations of a forced XP share. Shiny hunting is pretty good here too if that's what you're into. And these games have the best implementation of following Pokemon by far. I wasn't sure I'd even include these games in the challenge because of a fundamental change, however. All wild encounters are overworld encounters. You can see everything the moment you set foot on a new route. My personal approach to this problem is to go for the first, usually closest, eligible encounter I see. This does, however, lead into another problem specific to the challenge. Barely any Pokemon are eligible! This is game number 29 in the marathon, people, and Kanto mons have been available in every single one. It was only a matter of time before we hit this speed bump. Thankfully, it's only a speed bump and not a roadblock, as we have a way forward. Our only eligible mon from now until at least badge number 1 is going to be Elaine the Pikachu. You see, you're not dealing with your average Pikachu anymore. This Pikachu has become the legendary Partner Pikachu. That is to say, it's got way higher base stats than normal and access to some strong signature attacks. With this little fella by our side and a level cap of 12, it'll be smooth sailing to Pewter City. Trace makes the mistake of assuming Elaine is like any other Pikachu, resulting in his loss despite the level advantage. A quick jaunt over to Route 22 sees us repeating the performance, with literally no training in between. Since wild Pokemon battles aren't a thing here and trainer battles are finite, any attempts at grinding are made by catching and releasing ineligible Pokemon. This doubles up as our way of training stats, as we're rewarded candies in a system unique to the Let's Go titles. Game Freak threw us a bone and gave Pikachu Double Kick as a level up move, which greatly helps us out as we start our battle with Brock. Elaine gets evasive with Double Team, and then drops Geodude with Double Kick. I lower Onix's defense with Tail Whip before Double Kick secures us the win. Those double teams really didn't help us in avoiding Rock Throw though. Damn. Trace is our rival in his place, but Blue is still present in these games, seeing us off after our clutch victory. I always appreciated that they went the extra mile to keep the original trio around. Access to Route 3 allows us to finally make an addition to the roster in Mike the Mankey. Since our options are so limited, I pick up King the Gift Magikarp as well before entering Mount Moon. He isn't going to see much use though. Alongside the discovery that Jesse and James are in the cave, we manage to find and catch Oakvale the Clefairy. I pick up the Helix fossil right at the end and get into battle with Team Rocket's best and brightest. Since I didn't spend any time training our new additions, most of the heavy lifting falls to Elaine. Mike picks Coughing off and Elaine soundly defeats Ekans for an easy win. On the other side of the cave is Cerulean, and another battle with Trace. Elaine's Zippy Zap, yes, that's the name of the attack, dumpsters Pidgey and even puts Oddish down after a while, and Eevee gets double kicked for the win. The squad then gets up to some training, prioritizing battles against other trainers in order to hit our level cap of 19. The cute cutscenes they put together for key moments throughout the game are a huge plus, like Bill unfusing himself from Nidorino here. With everyone except King ready to roll, we issue our challenge to Misty. Just to play it safe, Elaine sets up Light Screen to start. Psyduck gets obliterated by Zippy Zap on the next turn, and Starmie manages to burn us with Scald before falling, increasing the level cap to 26. It's business as usual as we work our way towards Vermilion City, missing out on our Diglett Tunnel encounter. Those throws were excellent, man. There are lots of opportunities for growth as we board the SSN, including another battle against Trace. Elaine's Thunderbolt clips Pidgeotto's wings, and she kicks the crap out of Eevee, but is put to sleep by Oddish. Oakvale takes over, doing good damage before also falling asleep, leaving it in Mike's hands to finish Oddish off. Elaine can master secret techniques in lieu of HMs, learning Chop Down from the ship's captain. After seeing the ship off, we get into a battle with Alola's Captain Mina. Elaine solos both Jigglypuff and Mr. Mime for an easy win, but it was nice to see Mina nonetheless. The grind to the cap starts with Vermilion's gym trainers, and King evolves into Gyarados as we ready up to challenge Lieutenant Surge. I know at this stage of the game that I don't want to ban the Pikachu line, and the rest of the team is starting to come into their own, so I lead with Mike as we get the battle started. With no hope of stopping Mike, Dig is an Oko on Voltorb, Magnemite, and Raichu, raising the cap to 34. We quickly backtrack to grab the old Amber and Pewter, and Elaine masters the light up technique in preparation for a long trek through the rock tunnel. Oakvale powers up enough to learn Moonblast as we explore routes 9 and 10, meaning I can finally use a Moonstone to evolve her into Clefable. Team Rocket tries to get the jump on us before we can enter the rock tunnel, which leads to an early team up with Lorelei. A pretty neat addition to the game that serves to introduce the Elite Four early. Since it's just Team Rocket though, I probably could have managed alone. Mike becomes a full-fledged Crash Out as he evolves into Primeape, and after a bit of waiting on Route 10, our next eligible encounter is found in Filbert the Krabby. The rock tunnel immediately blesses us with Psy the Rhyhorn, powers the team up a good bit, and even throws a shiny Graveler our way. Talk about the gift that keeps on giving. Our next battle against Trace is on the other side, in Lavender's Pokemon Tower. Oakvale defeats Pidgeotto with Thunderbolt and pulls Karate Chop on Gloom with Metronome before falling asleep. Mike takes over next and also falls asleep, but ultimately pulls through. Dig then one-shots Jolteon for the win. Aside from Gloom being a total nuisance, Trace's team is growing a bit too slowly to be a real threat. For now at least. Jesse and James prove they really are evil by lying to little Cubone, clearly letting us know where to go next in the process. In hot pursuit of the baddies, we eventually arrive in Celadon City. We lose our life savings behind a bunch of TMs to beef the team up, and then tackle the Celadon gym trainers. Further training leads to Filbert's evolution into Kingler, and right before we're ready to battle Erica, we find Java the Porygon on Route 7. It can take King's place until we find more mainstays. With the only real contributors at the cap, the battle against Erica begins. Oakvale's Moonblast is an easy Oko on Tangela, and Psychic Oko's Weepinbell next. We use Amnesia to bolster our special defense, and then get a clean 2-hit KO on Vileplume for the win, pushing the level cap up to 44. Oakvale is proving to be a real powerhouse, so it's definitely going to be for the best if I can keep the line free for the next leg. For right now though, we have our raid of the Rocket Hideout to get through. Filbert paves the way with the others acting as backup, and we're greeted by Jesse and James again. Weezing and Arbok don't stand much of a chance against Filbert and Psy, even with their level advantage, making for an easy clear. Cubone is just out of reach as we get into battle with not Giovanni, but the admin, Archer. Fantastic callback to Johto. Oakvale takes point, making quick work of Weezing, but Golbat proves to be too much for her. Elaine is yeeted into battle to finish things off with Thunderbolt. The boss man finally decides to take us on, leading with Persian. Filbert outpaces the speedy cat with Brick Break, and Scald one-shots Rhyhorn afterwards for the win. With the Silph Scope in our possession, Cubone returns to Lavender Town ahead of us. Elaine gets her aircraft license so we can skydash back to Lavender too. Lock in, Trace. We've got to climb the tower. I'm not crying, you are. Way to ruin the moment, you three. Now that we have the Poké Flute, more of the region becomes available to us. Before straying too far, however, I decide to meddle in Team Rocket's affairs. Blue wants to make sure we're up to the task first and challenges us to battle. Elaine starts us off strong by getting a floaty fall 2-hit KO on Executor. Again, yes, that is the name of the attack. Charizard is up next and falls to Thunderbolt for the win, clearing the way to the rest of the tower. Trace and I end up running into Archer fairly early, so we get into a double battle. Electro does pitiful damage with Self-Destruct, and Elaine is poisoned by Muck soon after. Elaine loves us so much that she expels the poison though. Not a fan of the mechanic because of how easy it can make things, but it is cute. Weezing goes down to Thunderbolt, and Golbat follows suit, taking Archer off the table. Muck manages to successfully Toxic Stall Cubone, but gets dropped by the efforts of Elaine and Pidgeot next, leaving a lone Raticate behind to get bodied. As we continue to explore, we run into Archer again. Trace steps up to keep him at bay, allowing us to forge ahead. The rest of the tower is fully cleared, maximizing our gains ahead of another battle with Team Rocket's poster children. Weezing and Arbok manage to take a big chunk out of Oakvale, but ultimately fall to the might of our party. Giovanni is up next. Filbert manages to solo the boss again, using everything at his disposal to defeat Persian, Rhyhorn, and Nidoqueen for the win. Since the Saffron Gym requires us to have a level 45 or higher Pokémon, now's the time to explore the region further. Our Route 17 encounter is Brony the Ponyta as we approach Fuchsia City to expand our exploration abilities. First, we learn Sea Skim for water traversal, and Jesse and James hand us the Warden's Gold Teeth, letting us learn Strong Push. Even though we only have 4 badges, we're now fully equipped to head to Cinnabar Island. On the island, our old Amber is reawakened, and Aroy the Aerodactyl is added to the roster. The nearby Seafoam Islands bless us with an incredible encounter next, in Maria the Jinx. Finally, Elaine's been suitably replaced, and the line is safe for use in the not-so-distant future. The team makes a big push ahead of our next 2 gym battles, working to fulfill the Fuchsia Gym's requirement of 50 registered Pokémon. Sai evolves into Rhydon, and the team is ready to battle Koga shortly afterwards. Maria misses the mark by a hair and gets poisoned before taking Weezing out. Aroy defeats Venomoth with Rock Slide, and we're absolutely outplayed by Muck. Toxic hits even when we're airborne, and Protect negates the damaging turn of Fly. Oof. Sai takes over, also getting poisoned, but outpaces the stall shenanigans to get the KO with Drill Run. Finally, Oakvale faces off with and overcomes Golbat for the win. Across all his appearances in the challenge, this was Koga's best performance by far. In order to gain access to Saffron's gym, Oakvale levels past the cap to 45. Since I know I don't want to end the leg with a Clefairy line ban, I'd better get used to not having her power now. Mr. Mime sets up Reflect as our battle with Sabrina gets underway, causing Iron Tail and Drill Run to be a 2-hit KO. Filbert takes way more damage than I would have liked from Slowbro Surf on the switch-in, but he's able to apply Toxic like we needed. Maria then trades with Slowbro, using Shadow Ball to clean up. The menacing Alakazam is up next, and Aroy is able to outspeed and KO with Crunch. Sabrina uses a Jinx of her own, but it can't stand up to Aroy, who ends the battle with Rock Slide. The level cap increases again to 48 as we head back to Cinnabar Island, this time going through the Pokemon Mansion. We find and catch Baby Daddy the Ditto in the basement, the perfect stand-in for Oakvale. With how well the rest of the team has been doing, throwing in some fodder for a strategic ban makes sense. The team is more than well equipped to handle the fire user Blaine, so we speed through his quiz and get straight into battle. Aroy's Rock Slide takes Magmar and Arcanine down before I make the switch to Sai. Drill Run handles Rapidash and Ninetales for the win, simple and clean. Only the Viridian Gym remains, and the level cap increases to 50 ahead of the battle with Giovanni. The team does what little training is necessary before challenging the boss Rocket. Filbert drops the Crab Hammer on Dugtrio to start, completely shrugging off its Earthquake. We miss the mark on Nidoking, but handily tank another Quake before getting the KO. Rhydon and Nidoqueen aren't as fortunate, and both drop to 1 Crab Hammer each for the final badge. Blue declares his residency of the Viridian Gym following Giovanni's defection, bridging the gap between these games and the Johto titles in yet another nice touch. One more battle with Trace is on the menu before we can head to the Indigo Plateau, and Aroy gets it started against Pidgeot. Rock Slide isn't hitting hard enough, so it takes several attempts before we finally get the KO. Sai immediately takes to the field when Jolteon is sent out, getting an easy OHKO with Drill Run. Aroy nearly bites the dust as Vileplume starts to Petal Dance, forcing Maria to make the risky play. With Calm Mind, she's able to hang on and get the KO. We might have a Grass-type problem. Filbert then packs Marowak up for the win. The exploration of Victory Road and subsequent spot of training are quickly completed ahead of our Elite Four challenge. With the exception of Baby Daddy, everyone powers up to level 54. Baby Daddy is literally just here to coast to the finish line. I'm sure the rest of the team is more than enough to see us through. Alrighty, first up, Lorelei. Mike starts the battle as one would expect, using Bulk Up to crank his stats up. Dugong's Waterfall continues to weaken as Mike's defense rises, and when he's ready to rock, the sweep begins. A +4 Brick Break takes Dugong out, Fire Punch handles Jinx, Thunder Punch drops Slowbro, and 2 more Brick Break fell both Cloyster and Lapras. Maria is the lead against Bruno. On the off chance that she doesn't have enough power to OHKO, I use Calm Mind as Onyx sets up Stealth Rock. Ice Beam is an obvious KO on the next turn. Hitmonlee, Hitmonchan, and Machamp all get wrecked by Psychic, and Bruno's final Pokemon, Poliwrath, does as well. It makes perfect sense for him to use one. Glad they finally made that tweak to his team. Maria continues to enjoy the lead position as we challenge Agatha next. Psychic is an OHKO on Arbok to start. Gengar outspeeds us and uses Will-O-Wisp, but falls to Psychic right after. Golbat and Weezing are both OHKO'd, leaving Gengar number 2 for last. Baby Daddy gets screen time as I pivot, neutralizing Shadow Ball. I then double into Sai, tanking Sludge Bomb and Shadow Ball before getting the Earthquake KO for the win. Mike returns to the front of the pack to take on Lance's Seadra. Thunder Punch paralyzes it, and then it misses Hydro Pump before being felled. The affection mechanic is starting to get out of hand. Filbert shrugs off an Earthquake and Hyper Beam from Aerodactyl before getting the Crabhammer KO, and Gyarados is sent out. Filbert applies Toxic and eats another Hyper Beam, coming dangerously close to falling before I send Mike back out. Since Gyarados has to recharge, the swap is free and Thunder Punch is able to connect first for the KO. Aroy takes a turn to deal with Charizard, tanking Air Slash and then getting the OHKO with Rock Slide. The Ace Dragonite is finally up to bat, and I'm betting on Sai to tank Outrage long enough to KO. Rock Slide does massive damage, but we're in serious trouble. Out of options, I send Baby Daddy out, who unfortunately is one-shot by Outrage. Rest in peace, buddy. Maria is a clean switch in now, and she secures the W with Ice Beam. Really didn't think we'd lose anybody, but that's entirely on me for not fully preparing. Or bringing a real 6th teammate. As part of our efforts in stopping Team Rocket, the Pokemon League has decided to crown either me or Trace as the champion. We're already down a member and struggled with a certain grass type not too long ago. Can we really beat Trace? Only one way to find out. Aroy starts by getting his run back on Mega Pidgeot, using Rock Slide twice with a clutch flinch to get the KO. Sai takes over when Jolteon is sent out, and applies Stealth Rock safely before getting the KO with Earthquake. Vileplume is sent out next, and I know Trace wants to use Solar Beam, so I stay in and use Ice Punch. Thanks to its charge time and Sai being faster, I'm able to connect again to get rid of the biggest threat on his side. Filbert has to take over when Slowbro surfs in, applying Toxic to start our chip. Following Koga's playbook, I even use Protect to stall further, then use X-Scissor for big damage. Slowbro ends up in healing range, undoing all of our progress, so I'm forced to change my approach and send Maria out. Shadow Ball just misses the mark, Light Screen is reapplied, and Slowbro is healed again. What a pain. With a couple of Calm Mind boosts, Shadow Ball eventually drops the dope. Rapidash threatens to melt Maria, so Sai is back on the field, tanking Flare Blitz. Earthquake cleans it up, and Trace's final Pokemon, Marowak, is sent out. Mike is up next, using Bulk Up. He packs just enough of a punch to outpace Marowak and get the KO with Brick Break, ending the leg with a single, unnecessary death. I definitely let nerves get to me between Lance and Trace. I could have handled both of them way better. Still, I'm proud of the team we put together and how well they did, despite the severe limitations the ban list provides. With this many restrictions imposed on a player, even the Let's Go games can catch you off guard. Definitely something to keep in mind for the next one. The Mankey, Krabby, Rhyhorn, Smoochum lines, as well as Aerodactyl and Ditto joined the nearly full Kanto ban list ahead of our final jaunt through the region. Next time.